Will the awesomeness of this show ever end for me? Only time will tell. Oh, who am I kidding? Totally not. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian. And for this video, we're going to be doing a now video on my ongoing reviews on Star Trek The Original Series. For those of you guys who have not been following my channel at all, because I have to really get better at remembering, every now and again there's that one person who might randomly pick up and watch my channel. I'm doing a series of videos on Star Trek The Original Series, starting from Season 1 up to Season 3. And right now, we are on Episode 5 of the first season, and that is, unless it's Episode 4, I believe Episode 5. I am terrible with numbers. You'll find that out about me eventually. But let's say I'm right for the moment, and let's say it's Episode 5. It would be The Enemy Within. I believe The Enemy Within was directed by Leo Penn and written by Richard Matheson, but I could be wrong. Check to make sure I'm right. But I believe it was written by Richard Matheson. What is the plot line to The Enemy Within? The plot line is Captain Kirk and the rest of the crew of the Starship Enterprise, they've gone to a planet and they study the planet, and Kirk is down there with a small unit of officers, including George Takei's beautiful character of Sulu, and a couple other people when they are down there. But one of the crew members falls and gets injured, but he has this yellow residue, some type of powder gets on his outfit. He gets beamed up. There's something about the yellow residue that affects the transportation or the teleportation beaming. So he gets up there, but Scotty finds it kind of hard to materialize people on the pad. But the guy leaves, and then it's time for Kirk to be beamed up. Kirk gets beamed up, but it's easily obvious something's wrong with him. It took a while to beam him up, but when he got beamed up, he was like woozy, and he was like holding his head. Like you could tell he was in some sort of pain. Scotty leads him out of the transportation room, or the teleportation room, and Kirk's like, you can't leave the room unattended, but Scotty's like, come on, Captain, it'll just be a minute. And he leads him out and advises him to go to see, as we all know, good old Bones, Dr. McCoy. But no, Kirk just goes to his room. But what happens when the teleportation room is vacant? It turns out a duplicate of Captain Kirk was made. In the second he turns around, you can tell this is Captain Kirk's doppelganger, but it is clearly all of the nefarious and notorious sides of his character. What I mean by that is, it turns out something happened where when that yellow residue affected the teleportation or the beaming, it turns out it separated, it split up Kirk's personality. So Kirk, the one that we know as Kirk, his good side was separated from his bad side, so the super ego or the ego of Kirk was there, but then his id, the disgusting part of his nature, all the sordid parts of his personality, was separated from him and made into another entity. And at first, we have mistaken identity situations where the id of Kirk, or the bad side of Kirk, is going around, like going to the hospital unit and like grabbing McCoy and demanding brandy, then leaving, then going into his yeoman's, Janice, into her living quarters. Janice is the yeoman. I'm not good at saying that word. That's not an easy word. Yeoman. She is Captain Kirk's yeoman, and she's a gorgeous woman. She and Uhura, oh, gorgeous women. Yes. And then he tries to literally throw himself upon her, and that was one intense scene. Intense as hell. And but luckily there was another guy who opened the door, as she's trying to escape, another guy walking by, and Kirk's id attacks him, and then Kirk's id does get away, but they are now in the hospital ward, and she's like, the yeoman and the crewman who Kirk's id attacked is like, sir, that was you I fought. No, it was you who attacked Janice. And then there is, of course, Spock. Spock being logical, but also knowing the captain says there's only one solution, there's only one logical answer, we have an imposter on board. And very soon they discover, because of the animal that got beamed up, that it was the teleportation beaming. Something about the residue did split up people's personalities, so they cannot beam anyone on board. But here's the problem. Sulu and all the other crew members, the unit who went down there, are still down there, and this planet gets very cold at nighttime, like deathly cold. And as the story is progressing, we know that they are down there, and if they do not fix this problem in time and allow people to be beamed up, the Sulu and all the other crew members on that planet are going to die of being frozen, die from frost. And that's the good thing I like about Kirk and Spock's, personalities and how they know each other that well, that Spock could immediately know, wait, with this behavior that's happening, it's not just logical to assume that there's an imposter. He knows there's an imposter because he knows Captain Kirk. And he knows Captain Kirk would never do some of the things that this imposter clearly does. And we do eventually see Kirk and the imposter meet face to face, and McCoy pins him down, and eventually they do find a way to fix the problem in the teleportation beaming, and Kirk is able to be reunited with his id, and Sulu and all the other crew members are beamed up. Overall thoughts with this story. First, I was given very good recommendations to see this story. This is one of the stories that, in actually hearing the good things about it, inspired me to pick up Star Trek the original series and watch it. Was I disappointed? Hell no. This is, amongst Star Trek fans, Trekkers or Trekkies, whichever term you want to put to us, this is an iconic story, and it has every right to be. Here's why, on top of the obviously cool premise of separating up yourself, but the psychology explored in this story. Here's why. Because it's very easy just for it to be a story about the bad side got separated from the good side and then has to be reunited. That's simple enough. But it doesn't do that. It begins to explore the fact that the bad side of a person, an individual, needs to exist for that person to be fully functional. Why? Because Captain Kirk, when his id, his bad side, is separated from him, he quickly keeps losing the power of decision. He can't decide. He's gentle and he's kind, but he is rapidly losing the ability to be captain. On the Enterprise, he can't make decisions. He doesn't know what to do. He does not know how to advise anybody. So it turns out the evil side of us is the side of us that gives us courage to make decisions in desperate situations. It's our side of us that actually, ironically, has the most confidence and strength to us. When you think about it, it probably does make a lot of sense. So Kirk's id has to be rejoined with him for him to be whole again. They both cannot be separated. They must be whole again to be fully functioning. And that was really cool to explore, seeing that concept. And Kirk says at the end of it, I've seen a part of myself that nobody should. Ooh, then it's over. And then, of course, Spock has that last thing where he says to the Yeoman about how there was some interesting aspect to the other person, but she just walks away. But Spock does what Spock does really well, kind of half smirk. Like, we always talk about how Spock shows no emotion, but every now and again Spock does what I call a half smirk, and that's better than nothing. But now, after watching this stumbled there vocally. After watching this episode, I always want to save this up for talking about something I want to talk about. William Shatner as Captain Kirk. Okay, I've heard people sometimes criticize William Shatner for overacting as Captain Kirk. I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think William Shatner was amazing as Captain Kirk. His acting in this is wonderful. But what I love about William Shatner is he doesn't go halfway. He just goes for everything. He doesn't care what he looks like when he does it. He just goes for it. No matter how weird it can make him look, he goes for it. You know why? Because when you're a captain on a ship and you're put in these desperate situations, you're not going to fine-tune your face for a camera that's right there, because there is no camera in that real situation. There's you reacting in the way that a person would in that situation, and it would not be pretty. William Shatner doesn't, for me, overact. No, William Shatner goes for it. He makes choices. Yes, he does that thing that actors do and make choices when he's acting. Because oftentimes, way too often, people's ideas of good acting, it seems, is I talk like this all the time, or I just say like this all the time. I have no personality to my performance. This is depth. First of all, no, it's not. It's boring. But second of all, very few actors can do that stone-like thing and it work. It has to do with, two, an incredible amount of acting talent where you can have so much bubbling under the surface that even when you're not emoting much with your face, you still feel the emotion come through, which is something that Leonard Nimoy can do very well. But also has to do with your facial structure. There has to be something about a person's facial structure that's so compelling that even when it's doing nothing, it still does something. And that's not something every actor knows how to do. And so William Shatner, to me, with The Enemy Within, I thought he gave a great performance. I love him as Captain Kirk. He is Captain Kirk to me. He is marvelous as Captain Kirk, and therefore I stand by him being awesome. And because this is so driven on William Shatner's performance and I liked his performance, I absolutely like this story. So I absolutely love The Enemy Within. It is one of my favorite stories of season 1 of the original Star Trek series. So have you guys seen the original Star Trek series? Have you not? If you have, awesome. If you have not, I'm amazed you were even watching this video. Wow! Good for you. So guys, thank you so very much for watching. Again, tell me your thoughts if you want to. Oh, and also disclaimer, because very soon I'm going to be releasing another video, and I want to let you guys know what it is before I release it. A long time ago, like almost a year ago, I did a video about wondering, did British people hate us Americans or what they felt towards us? And then but I never published it. I never published it here on YouTube. But then I talked about it in one video, and one person over in Britain said, actually, I'm curious to see what that video was like, to see what you were going through at the time, and the feelings you were experiencing when you stopped watching British Doctor Who YouTubers because they were criticizing Americans or blaming Americans every time they didn't like something in new Doctor Who. So, yes, because I got one request to view it, I will publish it probably by the end of the week or early next week, because I got a request by somebody. So I'm just like letting you know right now, someone asked to see the video, someone from Britain was curious to see what I felt about that, so this is their request, and I'm therefore going to release the video. I'm letting you guys know in advance to build anybody up for it, because it's a video that was pre-recorded a long time ago. So I gave no message beforehand, I just did the video. So I'm giving you a message beforehand to give you some warning about it coming out. Oh, and the commentator who asked for the video, I beg of you, do not confess that in the comment section. I don't want anyone possibly screaming at you. I'll take the hate on myself. I'm not talking about my audience. My audiences are great about respecting each other. I'm talking about anybody who might possibly watch my video who's not used to watching my videos. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I shall review the next Star Trek episode very soon. Guys, thank you so very much. See you again very soon. Bye, guys.